Learning and development is one of the functions that falls under human resources management. One of the tools that is used for the purposes of learning and development is a tool commonly referred to as a learning management system. A tool commonly referred to as a learning management system. In this case, let's call this one a simple learning management system. And as you can see, there's a dashboard. On this particular menu, someone can click, a user can click the dashboard to be able to see what's displayed right now. And it shows that this particular person, the student or the learner called Mono, has not yet enrolled for any of the courses and has not yet attempted any of the quizzes. There are generally two types of persons who would have access to a learning management system. There could be 3 or 4 depending on the size and the structure of the organization. In this particular case, there is the learner or the student, in this case called Mono, and there's also a provision for someone to log in as an instructor and also for someone to be able to log in as an administrator. In this case, I'm logged in as Mono, who is a student. And what can Mono have access to? There's the dashboard right now, which is displayed on the screen. Then there is courses. If I click right here on courses, the available courses are going to be listed. And these are available courses that Mono can take, or any other person who is a user as a student or a learner. These are the courses that are available. If Mono wants to, for example, enroll for this particular course on Advanced Customer Experience Management, Mono simply needs to click here where it says enroll now. And when that is done, Mono is enrolled. Mono now is enrolled on one of the courses. So if we go back to the dashboard, it will show that Mono, or this particular user, is enrolled onto one of the courses. Let's go back to the courses and allow Mono to enroll into a second course. In this particular case, Digital Marketing Essentials. Again, it's just about clicking right over here and Mono will be enrolled into the course of her choice amongst the courses that have been made available through learning and development through human resource management. And so that is how a user can access these particular programs and enroll. If Mono so wishes, she can unenroll. If Mono so wishes, she can simply click here where it says unenroll, and there's going to be this prompt to confirm the action. Just click yes, and Mono is unenrolled. Mono can check on her progress by clicking right over here, check progress. Okay, so she can check on her progress if there's any quiz taken, any scores, any totals, and any status. She can click here to continue learning, which means to be able to access content on that particular course of choice. Content on that particular course of choice. So in this case, let's just click on continue learning. And in this case, the instructor is Milton. The description of the course is this one, but the instructor has not yet added any content to this particular course. When they do, it will display right over here. Once they do, it would display right over here. So this section of the learning management system from the learner perspective or the student perspective is possibly one of the easiest. Why? Because there's a dashboard. Ideally, there would be a dashboard showing the number of courses that a user has enrolled and any quizzes that have been taken. Then there's also this section of the courses where they can choose a course, enroll, or unenroll. And the last part is this particular part for this particular person to be able to check on their progress. There's only progress template for one of the courses. Let's enroll Mono onto a second course. Let's say this course on fundamentals of customer service. Let's enroll Mono on this one. So when we go to my progress, you'll notice that there's going to be 2 templates now. And as I had explained earlier, when you click on continue learning, it gives you a provision for you to be able to read more and take quizzes on the basis of that particular course that you've taken. So this is but the first part of a learning management system. I'm now logged in as an administrator. I am now logged in as an administrator. Again, there's a dashboard. The dashboard is different from that of the learner. In this case, the dashboard shows me as an administrator the total number of users who are registered to be able to perform different functions on this particular system. It also shows me on the dashboard that there are 7 courses readily available, and I'm able to manage those particular courses. When you click right here where it says view enrollments, let me click there. It shows you that the student who has enrolled is Mono, and she's enrolled for Fundamentals of Customer Service. The instructor for the course is Milton, and the instructor for the second course again is Milton. The second course is Digital Marketing Essentials, all enrolled on the same date, the 6th of November 2025, and the student is Mono. So as an administrator, I'm able to quickly see who is enrolled in which program. Let's go back to the dashboard. There is total users, there's managed courses, and total enrollments. And right above here, there's a menu. So we are right here where it says dashboard. This is what we see. Then we can come here and click on manage courses. When you click on manage courses, it shows you the list of the courses that have been added. Now, you as a person in learning and development, you could be the one who is responsible for coming up with these particular courses. You could work alone, or you could work with different instructors. In this case, there's Milton as an instructor, or you can have different instructors. It's entirely up to you. What else can you do? You can delete a course, you can edit a course, and you can manage the content of the course. So let me click here on manage content for the course digital marketing. Let me click right here, manage courses. So you see, you are now dealing with a section which allows you to be able to manage the content for the subject digital marketing essentials. Again, instructor Milton, you have got content, the tab here for content, where you can add the lesson, add the quiz, and those will be available or visible to the learner. What else? You're able to see how many people or which persons are registered for this course. In this particular case, there are no persons registered. It is possible that as an admin, you can enroll a student. And in this particular case, you can click right here to see the students that are there, and you can enroll any student of your choice. In this case, let's select Janet and enroll student. Click here where it says enroll student. And once that's done, there's going to be confirmation that the student has been successfully enrolled. And right here, you can see currently enrolled students. There's Janet. This is her email address when the enrollment has been done. And then there is this possible action. You can unenroll a student. You can unenroll a student. Yes, this is a function or action that can be taken by a student themselves, but there can be situations where that may not be possible. For example, a student, in this case, who is an employee, may have left the business and no longer has access to the system. And so as an administrator, you can unenroll this particular student. There's going to be a confirmation of whether you want to enroll. You simply click OK, and the student has been unenrolled. Let's enroll Janet again. Let's enroll Janet again. And so Janet has been enrolled. So this is what can happen under course management. You can work on the content itself to add lessons and quizzes. You can check which student is enrolled, so you can enroll the student or unenroll the student. There is this third tab, but I'm not going to get into this one. So you see, by course management, and let me click right over here, course management, you are able to check the existing content, manage that particular content, edit and delete. Interestingly, you can also create a new content. So there's this tab here, and there's a second tab which allows a user to be able to create content. So in this particular case, let's create a course. Let's call this course Sales and Management. Sales and Selling Management. Let's call it Sales and Selling Management. And this course, the description is to equip. Okay? Is that the spelling of equipped? To equip participants. Okay? To equip participants with knowledge, information, and skills to enable increased sales. Increased sales. We'll add this as a description, and we are going to assign this course. Okay, fine. I'm going to assign it to myself as an instructor. So I'm going to play the role of administrator and instructor. Let's create this particular course. There's confirmation that the selling and sales management course has been successfully created. And here it is. And here it is. What am I going to do? I'm going to enroll the students onto this particular course. So I'm going to click right here where it says manage content. I'm going to click there and I'm going to go to enroll, this tab here. There's a tab for content. There's a tab for enrollment management. I'll click right over here and I am going to enroll Janet to this course. Enroll Janet. I'm also going to enroll Mono to this particular course. Enroll Mono to this particular course. So that is how a course is created. This section of the learning management system, Manage Courses, allows a user to create courses and to be able to access existing courses, in which case they can manage the content, edit, and even delete should that be the case. If the desire is to delete, there's a function that allows for that. Let's delete this course, because if you look at these particular list of courses, some of them are duplicated. So let's assume the desire is to delete this course on Advanced Customer Experience Management. Why? Because it's duplicated. It's also right over here. The administrator will come here and select delete, in which case then they will be greeted with this particular confirmation, and it also provides information that, for example, any delete is going to be permanent. Any deletion is going to be permanent. Also, all student enrollment records or student quiz attempts may also be deleted. You need to type the course here that you want to delete for confirmation purposes. You need to type it, and once that's done, you can select this particular highlight here and click here, delete permanently. Once that is done, you notice that the course, there's going to be confirmation that the course ID, in this case, the course ID is that one that's been deleted, which was Advanced Customer Experience Management. It has been deleted. It has been deleted. So that is but part of what can be activated under course management. Another menu item is user management. Let me click right over here, and it shows the users that are there. So in this case, the users, these are the users and the roles that they play. There's the admin, instructor, and student roles, and when they were created, So you also have an option to be able to add a new user. You have an option to be able to add a new user. In this case, let's call this new user Tutu. Okay, let's call this new user Tutu. And Tutu's password, let's give Tutu a password. Okay, whatever password it would be. This is going to be a dummy password. Now, what role is Tutu playing? What role is she going to get? Is it the role of a student, an instructor, or an administrator? So this can be selected at this particular point. So let's just leave it at student and click here where it says add user. When that is done, there's confirmation that Tutu has been added successfully, and here is Tutu. Tutu has been added successfully, and here is Tutu. If there's need to make any adjustments, you just need to click here on edit, and you will be able to change the name. For example, we would like to change it from Tutu, or maybe this is not the spelling, and it is desired that the spelling was this, Tutu. All right, we can click here to save the details. Let me just click there. So it shows you that you see from Tutu, we have it as Tutu because that's the way it was supposed to be. So under this particular section of user management, we are able to add users, assign roles, and be able to perform other functions such as deletion, edit names, and also be able to reset the password. Additionally, there are other sections like this one, system settings. Let me click right over there. It shows you some settings that are applicable from the admin's perspective. So the admin is the one who knows or should know how to use this particular section. In this case, I'm the administrator. So for example, when someone is logging in onto the system, are they allowed to register? In this case, yes, someone is allowed to register. If I don't want that people should be able to register, I can simply disable this particular functionality. This is a system setting, and by default, a user is registered as a student. However, If I decided to change that a user is registered as an instructor, I simply need to change this. And if I'm happy with that, I'll just have to come here to save all settings. So I'll click right there. So the system settings have been updated. If I want to add new system features, I can come right over here. But this is more on the technical side, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Then there's this other menu item. If I click on it, it gives me the metrics to be able to account for what is happening on the system. So for example, the total number of users, there are 5 users. Of these 5 users, 3 are students, 1 is an instructor, and another 1 an administrator. So this is important because in HR, there's need to report. It could be on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever the time frame could be. This allows the administrator to be able to give a record that there are 5 users, and this is a breakdown of the users, the courses that are there, and the enrollment activity. Okay, the enrollment, have people enrolled? Yes, there's been some enrollment activity. This average quiz score has not been changed because there's no quiz that anyone has participated in. And there's more information in the month of November. How many new enrollments were registered? 5. Allowing the HR person to be able to give a report. And also down here, it will show the least enrolled into courses. It would show the least enrolled into courses. So this is but part of what a learning management system would look like from an administrator perspective. From an administrator perspective. This is basically how a learning management system works. There can be different systems from one organization to another and also from one vendor to another. When I put up this particular simple learning management system, it was for purposes of being able to show persons who may never work with a system like this how it works, and possibly also encourage that this is not as difficult as it is sometimes made to seem. It is actually easy, and within a day or two, anyone well-trained will be able to find their feet. I hope you found this video helpful. My name is Savoy, and I enjoy training. Goodbye.